Well, good afternoon. For those of you who haven't come across me before, my name is Martin Stepik. I teach mindfulness and I'm also a professional writer. I want to do a short reading that I hope might be helpful to some of you in particular circumstances during this coronavirus situation, especially with regard to living with family. So this is from a book. This is my pre-publication author's version, Steps to a Mindful Life, a Collection of Thoughts, Volume 2. And as I've said in my little blurb there, they're all available at reduced prices just now because of the situation that we're in on Amazon, both Kindle and paperback versions, so that people can better afford them. So this is called All That Stuff. I read a message on a site I occasionally look at. The site is for people who have or are suffering from depression, anxiety, or other negative states of mind. The message was from a woman who's frustrated by her estranged siblings' lack of care about their ageing, ill mother, and the heavier burden of care that she, the other sibling, has as a result, which I'm sure many of you know people who have been through that or going through that. It's a very common problem. Siblings differ. They have different priorities, live in different locations, have their own families, and no doubt their own, often private, challenges. The woman asks about forgiveness, whether she should forgive her siblings for what she sees as a dereliction of their duty to their mother, and whether she can, in fact, forgive even if she wanted to. The joys of life, the joys of families. That's what it sounds like, and no doubt it's a refrain we're all familiar with. Yet, from a perspective of mindfulness, it sounds all too familiar, but in a different way, in a crucial way. Their angst, their anger, their bitterness at our family for doing what they do are just typical examples of a mind that's totally in control of us, or nearly totally. The very fact that this woman is querying her feelings, her reactions, and whether she has options shows that there's a part of her mind that's not being controlled by these age-old and life-shaped gut reactions to what are very common events. So there is in fact two parts of the mind at work here. The one that causes us all the grief, and the one that knows it needn't be as bad as it feels right now. All that stuff. That's all it is. A whole heap of stuff. Variations on the same theme. We judge others. We condemn others. We judge ourselves. We condemn our own behaviour. We worry about a million things. We get in a tizzy about tiny things, even imaginary things. All that stuff runs the way we feel. It is literally insane. And that is why collectively we have such an insane society. All that stuff is in our leaders' minds too. The most important thing is to really see this as true. Deeply. So deeply that our knowing this to be the case starts to counteract the stuff when it pops up. This lady doesn't have to look after her elderly mother. Society says she should. It's a wonderful thing that she does. It's a compassionate thing, but it wasn't compulsory. No one has forced her to do it. Likewise for her siblings. They don't have to care for their mother. They don't have to turn up when she is ill in hospital. They don't have to remember her birthdays. And the lady doesn't have to get upset or angry about this. She doesn't have to judge them. She doesn't have to be bothered by anything they say or do or don't say or don't do. Her moods and reactions are just stuff. The reality of her life, moment by moment, is probably that she's well and has chosen to care for her mother. Full stop. All that stuff is not part of her reality. It's part of all that stuff that causes her to have negative emotions, makes her feel bad, and is probably causing havoc with her physical health too. I'm not saying it's easy to control your mind like this. It isn't. It takes years and years, but it does slowly come about. What mindfulness practices do, properly done, is to show you what reality is. And that is, most of the time, just fine as it is. And it tries to help us see that as it is our life. As it is means just what is real and raw and immediate in the present. It doesn't include all that stuff that the mind belches out day in, day out. So do try to see when all that stuff is trying to control and affect you negatively. And learn to let it go. Let it drop away so that you can see the calm, clear space of life as it actually is. So I hope you found that helpful. I just want to elaborate on it just a wee bit. So we've got two parts of the brain that can help us in various ways. One is the amygdala, which is the fight or flight mechanism in essence, which basically causes all that stuff. That's our overreactions or getting annoyed or bitterness or judgment, etc. But it helps us survive in crisis. But not in a crisis like this. This is a long-term, slow-burning crisis. It's crisis as in your house is burning down, get out of the house. It's helpful for that. But what's really helpful in the rest of our life is another part of the brain, the prefrontal cortex, which is calmer, wiser. Let's just take our time. Let's consider the whole picture. Well, there's no point in getting annoyed about that. And so these act almost like polar opposites. And what we're trying to do in mindfulness is learn by practice to notice what's going on with all that stuff and learn how to let it go and learn how to put in place something better. So if you breathe in, it's clear and fresh. If you breathe out, it's quiet and peaceful. If I pick up this glass, the glass feels cool and pleasant to my fingertips. If I put it in my mouth and swallow it, it's beautiful. It's cooled down my mouth, it's lubricated my mouth. That's reality. Reality is the present moment. Just now you can probably see by the light and shade in my face. Just now the sun's coming through. This is springtime, it's beautiful out there. But all that stuff can make you feel that it doesn't exist. The reality is that most of our lives, most of the time, are good. All that stuff tells us that it's not good and that there's things to moan about, to complain about, to worry about. Nothing to complain about, nothing to worry about. There's stuff to do. But worry and complaining doesn't help. We can live in peace even through difficult times. I've lost 3 people I love in the last 15, 16 months. A brother, a sister, and my aunt. But you can still be happy despite these things. It's all a question of who's in charge of you. Is it this automatic reactive mind from the amygdala, or is it this wiser, calmer, clearer, happier mind that's coming from the prefrontal cortex? You don't need to worry about the parts of the brain. Is it the better version of you, or is it the reactive version of you? And that becomes your choice once you start practicing mindfulness. Okay, hope you found that helpful and useful. And I'll just switch off now. See you another time. Take care and enjoy the rest of your day.